All right, I'll be honest. I just woke up and I completely forgot that we're doing spoiler seasons right now. I missed out on the Kane stuff. But we're gonna start off strong with Master Yi, who has been spoiled or revealed today. And I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I just started playing League, so I don't really know too much about what Master Yi does, but I've been seeing him a lot in ARAM, and for some reason, every time I run into a Master Yi player in ARAM, they're just absolutely cracked at Master Yi, and he just goes like 16-4, farms everybody, gets like a quadra kill every single wave. It's absolutely insane. So I mean, Master Yi does this like disappearing thing. He like heals himself. That's all I know about Master Yi. So very, very curious to see how they translated him into Legends of Runeterra. And without further ado, let's jump into it.
To restore this legacy is my greatest honor.
Master Yi, a 3-mana 2/3 quick attack. Round start, reduce the cost of a spell in your hand by 1 this turn, or 1 this by 1 this round, and flow. Grant all allied grant all allied everywhere +2/+0. Grant all allied everywhere. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Did they miss like a word there? Hang on. So flow is this new mechanic that they're introducing with Master Yi. It's a card triggers its flow ability if you played 2+ spells or skills last round. So just based off of what it sounds like, flow is something that can be activated every round. Master Yi himself reduces the cost of a spell in your hand by 1, and then you play those 2 card spells, and then you get flow the next turn. I still don't know what Master Yi's flow does, but we'll see that in a bit. Level up, I've dealt 12 damage. So I'm assuming he buffs himself up. That'd be my presumption. We'll see.
There's so much to learn. How will I know when I'm ready?
Even as a so-called master, there is so much I do not know.
His voice lines are great.
Good. A clear mind. Blade and
Okay, so you saw there that he buffed himself up by 2. So I'm assuming it buffs him. His flow only buffs him. So it's I buff Master Yi's everywhere pretty much.
mind, honed and sharp. Concentrate, June. See the spirit realm in your mind.
Momentous choice. Either give an ally +1/+0 this round, or give an ally +0/+1 this round, and I believe you can cast a second time.
I can feel it. It's vast and blinding.
Oh, did it? Interesting. Okay.
In each hammer's blow, his spirit lives on.
Just the one I was looking for. My helmet could use some work. Violence is and should always be the last resort.
It looks so different without his like goggles on or whatever they are.
Hope lives
Yeah, there we go.
in my blade.
Oh. Attack, I immediately strike the weakest enemy. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. He just like disappears and like pew pew and does stuff. So he strikes the. Oh, that's so cool. That's actually really cool. And then everything else is the same. He immediately strikes the weakest enemy. So they can't like. The weakest enemy like dies before they get commit a block, is what I assume.
A calm heart. Each strike spells a new legacy. Alpha strike.
Teach them a lesson.
Form before strength. Let us see if you are worthy.
Does the wind stop to consider which direction to blow, Master?
You are a fledgling child flailing his arms. Voodoo style. Meditation calms a cluttered mind.
God, the animation is sick.
Wu-Ting
What?
style.
Why? You're just showing off the new card and not. Okay, fair enough. Oh, I get it. Oh my god. I was like, why didn't they attack with Master Yi?
But fear
They rigged the deck to do that. That's sick. Okay. All right. So Master Yi has this whole like package, I guess, where there's not only cards that generate spells, but also spells that have like two copy, like two either like they cast twice or they create a second copy of a card in hand. So very similar to like how Absolver works, like Sonic Wave works, which definitely makes sense given the flow mechanic. You need to cast two spells in the previous round. It's pretty much Eye of the Dragon. Eye of the Dragon has flow, right? It's flow, summon a Dragonling at the start of your next turn. Actually, that doesn't matter, right? Because flow is the next turn. Yeah, so I have the dragon just flow summon a dragonling. That's really cool. So we have this mechanic in game already in the form of Eye of the Dragon, and now it's just like getting, I guess it's becoming a keyword, but also introducing like another package to it, or at least like solidifying that as like a mechanic they want to expand upon, which I think is super cool. So let's see. So here are the cards released with Master Yi. We have the equipment. So in case you guys aren't aware of what the equipment slots are, because I missed out on the whatchamacallit, the cane. Equipment is like equipments can use spell mana, but they are slow speed. So they also work very similarly to attach, where you can put it on a unit. It's basically an attach card, but it can be played with spell mana. That's pretty much the only difference. So this is a 4 mana +3/+2 soul sword. In Ionia flow, I cost 2 less. So for essentially 2 spell mana, you get a grant +3/+2 if you have flow activated. I mean, by pure cost, that's like pretty good. Now, of course, the downside to all of these is that they are slow speed. So if you equip somebody with Soul Sword, your opponent can say stun the card that you put it on, and you sort of get a like a it's not the same as like playing a burst spell, for example. So you have to kind of take that into account when you're considering how much stats for cost you're getting. So even though you're comparing it to something like, say, Sharpen Resolve, which costs 3, you have to take into account that this, even though it does potentially cost 2, it is at slow speed. So it's pretty cool. Master Yi himself is an interesting card. To deal 12 damage. So let's say the turn you play him, you kind of want to play him before you attack, right? So let's say you attack on turn 4, you want to play him on like turn 3, right? So that when he's attacking, he gets that flow. Let's say he has the first flow attacking on turn 4, he deals 4, and then the next turn he grows to 6, and then he grows to 8, right? So essentially Master Yi kind of has to attack twice, given that you are attacking on evens and you play him on odds. If you play him on turn 3 at deal 2, then 4, then 6, you do need to buff him up, which I mean shouldn't really be an issue because you have cards like the Soul Sword and some other cards shown. So depending on which kind of attack token you have, you might need to buff him up during attack. You want to level him up into attacks. And of course, he can also just block and level up as well, because you're an Ionia, you have Discipline, and you have some of these new cards as well. His himself as a card is kind of interesting because, again, he's not really a win condition by himself, which is something that I think surprisingly a lot of the Ionia champions actually find themselves having an issue with. All their packages are so different that you kind of like mix and match, but then the champions themselves aren't necessarily like win rates. And I think like this is very similar to like a Yasuo kind of thing, where he's sort of just like chipping away at your opponent's board once he levels up. It is like a very sort of tempo-y kind of game plan. You can abuse things like free attacks if you do have Master Yi level to like reduce your opponent's board in the same way that like Windswept Hillock plus Katarina works, I guess. I think there's a lot of build around you can have with this card if you try to abuse him when he levels up. But I'm gonna kind of like, I don't know if that's really the way to go about it. It could be. It just depends on like, you know, if your opponent only has like, 1 or 2 units, and you can just kill each unit a turn, and obviously that's very strong, because if your opponent only has 1 unit and you attack Master Yi, unit dies and then they have no blockers, that can be very powerful. But I'm not so sure that you're going to have a very good time trying to abuse that, because outside of Demacia, you can't really do that very well. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where Master Yi really falls under. But let's move on. Master Yi's Wuji style. This is his champion spell. It's a 1-mana burst. Give an ally +2/+0 this round. Create a meditate in hand, and meditate is a burst spell. Give an ally +0/+2 this round, fleeting. So it's basically like Sharp Sight, but you get to split the stats, which is already better. It is at burst speed, so that's fine, and it activates flow, which is, you know, like all the checkboxes of what a good card kind of wants to do. It synergizes with Master Yi. It acts both as a buff and a protection spell, and so I think this card is a very, very strong card. Summon Wind, summon a 1/1 or summon a Vastine Discipline and draw 1. So this card isn't actually main deckable. This card is created off of Vastine Discipline, sorry, which is a 1-mana 1/1 elusive that says Nexus Strike, recall me, and transform into this spell, which is like really interesting. The whole concept of burst units is really good. Drawing 1 spells, you know, with Master Yi and things like that, it's all very useful. In the trailer, they're playing Master Yi with Nami, and if you play, the curve might be a little bit awkward. You play Vastine Discipline on 1, you attack, you float 2, you play Simon Wind, then you float 3. It's very, very slow. So I don't know if like in this particular case, the curving of this card with like specifically a Nami deck is a little bit awkward, because you like float into like double trouble is probably just better for your buck, unless it's a very, very slow matchup. But nevertheless, it seems like a very interesting card. Not a lot of, I don't know if this card has a ton of payoff. But having like this, again, like if you can strike with Vastine Discipline, I think having this like card handy in hand to not only act as a burst blocker or attack if you need, but a draw 1 as well, can be a pretty powerful cycle tool. And if your opponent is like slower, can't really remove or ping units, then this card generating you a ton of value isn't the worst thing ever either. In the Prodigy, a 3-mana 4/3. The first time I'm equipped, give me barrier and lifesteal this round. I mean, that seems kind of good. Like having a barrier lifesteal card in Ionia is pretty solid. This reminds me of like Tasty Faithfolk, which is a 3-mana 4/2 lifesteal. However, just like slightly more conditional, better when you're attacking, but worse when you're blocking, right? The issue again is you also have to equip it on the turn you want to heal, so then they could like stun it or something like that as well. So this card is interesting because Master Yi himself, the flow, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't know if flows count as spells, or sorry, if equipments count as spells. Because like equipments themselves don't particularly synergize so far with what Master Yi has to offer. Sure, it can like help him level up maybe 1 turn faster. And sure, maybe there's some like really good equipment, say like in Noxus, that gives Overwhelm, which we have seen in the spoilers already, which I haven't covered. So I'm sorry about that. I'll link all the spoiler cards in the description below so you can go check them out, because there are a few cards that I might be like bringing up that I haven't actually shown on the channel. There is like a Noxus equipment that gives Master Yi can give Master Yi Overwhelm, which, you know, if he scales up very high and has Overwhelm, that seems pretty potent. But for like something like Jin the Prodigy, it's a little bit awkward if you're not attacking. I guess you can like stop an attack and then have like a barrier unit, but the same thing as like attack to lifesteal as well. So it's an interesting card. Like it seems pretty okay because you get a free attack to heal, excuse me, heal up, and as barrier, so it doesn't trade, so then you can block it again. I think for the stats for what it does, it's pretty strong. Discipline of Doran. When I'm summoned, create a preparation in hand, and sorry that this is blocked. Preparation is the 1-mana focus spell on the very far right. It says reduce the cost of a spell in your hand by 1. It's really, really cool. I love this kind of concept, because in a lot of combo decks per se, which Master Yi could definitely fall under, given the fact that, you know, he wants to activate flow, he probably wants to be given Overwhelm or have some sort of free attack kind of mechanic built into him. Being able to discount the cost of a spell going into your next turn, you know, and it's like if you have 4 mana going into the next turn, you can play preparation to make sure that you're floating the maximum amount of mana, but also give yourself a discount of free mana going to the next turn. I love cards like this. I think it's phenomenal. And it's really, really cool in terms of combo deck building. And it is only for spell, but this can also help you cheat out spells as well. So let's say you can play like Field Rush 1 turn earlier. You can play like Vengeance on 5 mana crystals. It can be very good at sort of catching your opponent off guard while also just rewarding looking ahead at how you want to play the game and what your hand looks like. Overall, I don't know what I think overall. It's very interesting. Because right now I think like Master Yi definitely needs something like Overwhelm or something like abusing free attacks, because you are in Ionia, you already have the benefit of being in the region with Deny and Notify and like Memory Cloak and whatever sort of counter spells, which is a very, very good core of a combo deck. That's like where you want to be. Because in the past, there have been decks like Draven Riven with Ionia in order to like run those counter spells in order to protect your units, your very combo centric cards. And now having a champion that's very combo centric already in Ionia, this allows you to expand into other regions just for utility, because now you're not reliant on having other followers or champions from other regions, and having Ionia as a support region is like the other way around, which I think is really, really solid. Discipline of Doran looks like a really, really good card. Jin the Prodigy can be a pretty decent stall card as well. Like Ionia having lifesteal is a good thing in terms of what the deck kind of needs. It's hard to evaluate where this kind of like power level falls. I just have inklings of League League ARAM games of Master Yi that just like absolutely dominates. And I'm not entirely sure where that kind of falls under. Also, I guess Master Yi's effect is seemingly random. So it's like Targon's Peak, right? You don't get to choose the spell that gets reduced. Now, but I mean, like, if you're looking at the spells in your hand that can get reduced, like Master Yi round start reduced. I mean, I think that ability is actually quite strong by itself. Like, you get a free preparation, you get a 1 mana Simon Wind. You know what? Like, I think that effect by itself is already pretty strong. Like, say you have 1 spell in hand, and then you prep it, and then you can get a 2 mana discount on a spell. I think there could be some really interesting sort of ways to like mana cheat, maybe by like 1 or 2, but it has to be spell specific. Like maybe like play like Give It All like 2 turns earlier or something like that. I don't know. There seems like some really interesting sort of combo things that Master Yi enables, not just because of his level 2 ability in order to like continue striking and it scales, but also sort of because of this like reduction of spell cost. I think this could be some really interesting things that come out of Master Yi. I was super excited about it because I think even if I'm not sure how powerful he is, he looks like a really interesting card to build around. Not only in a combo way, but also like in a Master Yi all-in combo way, but also in a sort of like spell discount sort of way. So I'd be very curious to see how he comes out. But is there anything else? I think that's it for Master Yi. I'm not going to cover any of the past cards, but I will link the cards that have been spoiled down below in the description, so feel free to follow along on all the cards that have been released so far. Hope you're enjoying the spoiler seasons. I think there's some really interesting stuff, but Master Yi looks super interesting. I'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys with the next one. Peace out, guys, and take care.